At the beginning of Beatlemania in early 1964, the Beatles attended a party once after a concert where one of their fans snuck up on Ringo with a pair of scissors and cut off a lock of his hair. And if you're not sure which of those guys was Ringo, you were born under a rock or you're still breastfeeding. And I don't mean the type of breastfeeding that many of us consider an awful lot of fun. That's Ringo right there with the great big arrow pointing at his head, so please don't make me have to go over this again. Beatlemania was on its way to becoming what some said was a phenomenon the world had never seen before. Not true. There was another guy way before the Beatles. It's Russ Woody again, whether you like it or not, with another vital historical fact. Franz Liszt was a Hungarian composer of the 19th century who performed concerts throughout Europe in the 1830s and 1840s. He was and might still be considered the greatest pianist of all time. And I said pianist. Well, Liszt was considered in his earlier days a sex symbol of sorts. He was good looking with a head of long flowing hair. And around 1841, he began to reach Beatles status in what was called Lisztmania. Women began fighting over his handkerchiefs and gloves, sometimes tearing them to pieces so they could divide them up with other fans of his. Some women collected his coffee dregs to put in lockets, while one woman plucked his cigar butt out of a gutter to put in her locket with the monogram FL spelled out in diamonds. And please, by her locket, I mean her locket, okay? Other women had fainting spells, while some would throw roses in underwear at his feet, and still others would tear off a part of their dress to throw at him. And women by the hundreds would write to him for locks of his hair. Well, this got to be too much for Liszt, and I imagine his head started to look funny. So he came up with a brilliant plan. He went out and bought a dog with the same color hair as he. Then he'd snip locks of hair off of the dog to send to these women. I don't know his name, the dog, but let's just call him Bob. And this had to be pretty annoying for poor Bob. But little did he know he was whistling past the graveyard, because a worse fate for Bob would be if Liszt's fans had gotten a hold of the dog and knew he was Liszt's actual dog. I think they would have probably torn him into pieces and divided him up among the other fans.